Getting here with Gardening Simplified. It's January 15th, and it's time for us to do another propagation update, and this has been a great week this week. We're out here in the shop by the grow station, and we've got little leaves shooting out all over, and it looks different. It looks so deep here because we've had to put these together. I did this morning. I was planning to do it yesterday, but it's a lot of other things getting ready for the cold. And so I didn't get my video shot. But out here in the shop, it's like 44 degrees. Well, it's actually 36 out here in the shop, but the heat mats are keeping this a little warmer. But the problem was they can't keep it that warm. So what I've done is I've taken a tarp and wrapped it around. I don't think I need to do it all the way around, and I actually turned my lights on manually so they come on and start heating it up. They've already heated it up 1 degree, but I've already taken the ones that were rooting and got them ready for potting up, and we're going to go take a look at them. Now we've got quite a bit of noise in here in the shop. We've got both our freeze dryers running. We had to take and harvest all our celery because the temperature dropping so low it's even going to affect it. And so we figured we'd get it in, get it freeze dried. But back to figs. This week we've had 29 root out. Now you know last week was kind of a slow week. Only 4 I believe that we ended up with. But this week we've got a good bit of them. They're all looking good. There are a couple in here that don't have roots on them yet, and I'm trying to remember which ones. We're getting ready to take and pot these up. They won't like it because some of the stuff that when we pot them up, it's going to be kind of a cold soil on them, but it won't take long for it to warm up, and they'll stay in here. It's right now it's 20 degrees outside. It's going to get down into the teens this evening. Now this one here, we're looking at it, and it looks like it's barely got roots coming out here. I don't know if you can see just a little bit of root, but it's got good growth on the green, so I'm going to go ahead and pot that up. I think it'll be fine together. And it seemed like maybe I had one here. I think this was one. No, this does have root. But a lot of these, this was 2 months ago, and it's finally rooting out. That's one of my SFA varieties. This here is this has only been a little over a month. This is the I-258 or the Italian 258. We've got a Texas Everbearing, and it's just starting to put out a couple little roots there. We're going to go ahead and pot it up. Another Texas Everbearing, not quite a month. It's doing good. This one here is doing good. This is a Canadria. Another one doing good. This is another Texas Everbearing. Now I didn't see these Canadrias. This has been a little over 2 months. A lot of them are slower to come out. This one here, the LSU Purple, this has been over 2.5 months ago that it was planted. So don't think that they're going to come out all at once. This one's not been quite 2 months, a Black Mission. We've got an Italian Everbearing. It's doing good, and I don't actually even have a date on that one. Now we've had a leaf. Occasionally we damage a leaf taking off the cellophane bag. This SFA, about a month. And this black mission here, this has been 2 months. And this one here is white Adriatic, and it's been 2 months. And we've got another Texas everbearing, been about a month since it's been planted. Another Texas everbearing putting out its roots. So we've got quite a bit of root growth here. Another black mission. This is back November 24th when it was planted. This one here, you can see the root climbed over the top. And if you look up here at the base of it, you see it's because the moisture in the bag, it put its roots out the side up there high and started down in that way. And it's another Texas everbearing, planted a couple months ago. Got good roots here on this Texas everbearing. It's 2 months ago today. Here's another Italian 258, and it's shooting out there. You got some. But if you notice on these, for those that maybe watch other channels, this here's putting its roots out. It's another Canadria, which was back a little over 2 months ago when it was planted. Some of these just really root out slower. Now this white Adriatic here, same thing, a couple months ago. It's doing good as far as rooting in. And this one just went crazy. I mean, now a lot of you wait till you get this many roots, and we just did this last week and none of this showed up, so you see how fast it's growing. This SFA variety, or that's one, I call it SFA, that's Dr. Creech. This here is also, and you can see this is just a little cutting. It was green when I put it in here. It's SFA, and it's been a couple of months. Well, it's been about a month, excuse me. This one ain't looking too awful good. A lot of times the plastic will do that. This black mission, and it's doing good. And occasionally I'll smell kind of an ammonia smell when I open these up, and that's not a good smell for making these go. We do have some fungal gnats that are trying to get in here. This is one that's got good leaf growth. I don't see anything coming out, but I'm going to plant this LSU Gold up. It's got to be wanting to grow, and we don't want to restrict it. But I think this was one that we had the ammonia smell in there, so it's do better to get in a different pot, and especially not be confined. This Texas everbearing, not quite a month on it. We've got good roots on this Texas everbearing, and it's not been about a month. And then we have another Italian everbearing that's starting to put out roots to the side. And this black mission, which it's really picking up and going. Been a little under 2 months ago. And then our last one here is another Texas everbearing, been about a month. It's really got good roots. But with those of you that watch me now, I don't do these like a lot of people that propagate their figs. I don't wait for these things to really get a giant amount of roots. When I see roots, or I see that I think it's time that they need to go into a bigger container, I go ahead and pot them up. And we're going to go through this method for those of you that's new, maybe those of you that maybe want to see it again. We'll go through the method that I use to pot these up. For those of you that are new to it, when I pot these up, I take and form this around the cup. Of course, we'll take these out, and it's just a matter of dropping this in around this cup. Now this does have some roots that were coming out around the top. We're just going to cover those up. Hopefully they can go down. But it's that simple, and the reason why I do it this way, and we'll show this all the way, is because it doesn't disturb the roots. People say, well, you wait, you don't want to pot them up because that's going to disturb the roots. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to put a little bit of our mix here. Now, as always, my mix is, when I pot them up, it's 1:1:1 ratio of compost, peat moss, and perlite. And what I do is I'll put some in here to set my height. Now, if I have roots coming out, I'm going to set a little bit deeper. But then what I'm going to do is I just put my potting mix, and you can use all kinds of potting mixes. Now, in mine, I mix some pelletized chicken litter. I'm strictly organic, so I do that. I also put a little azomite in there, so for sure it's got enough minerals. I don't know if that's going to help or not, but it's definitely not going to hurt. I'll put a little mycorrhiza fungi in there. When I mix this up, and I put a little bit of ag lime in there, and so I make sure, because I don't want it to be real acidic from the peat moss, so I kind of balance it out with the ag lime. But I just push this in around here, and then I just twist that and pull it out, clean the stuff off the top, get my thing out of here, and drop it in. Now, occasionally, if you don't have real good roots, it's possible that this could fall apart, but normally when I do this, I have enough roots, or it's moist enough that it does stay together, and I can just drop it in. And I always say, I don't know that plants feel fear from that drop, but as far as to transition them, there's no transition shock when you go this way. It does real good. They keep going good. And I'm going to continue to pot these up, and then we'll see. We'll go out to the, normally I move these out to the greenhouse, but it's right now this morning, because it's 20 outside, it's actually 30 degrees in the greenhouse, which would be cold enough that it would freeze these leaves off and go back. But I've got a little system where I keep them warmer, and we'll take a look at it here in a minute. Well, I got them all potted up, got those, and we've got these over here. They'll have some light like they're outside, but they'll be warmer in here. I'll water them in good when I move them. And we'll go out and we'll see what they look like out in the greenhouse. Here at our grow station, we've made it up to about 49. I've got them completely wrapped up now. And as we head to the greenhouse, now this isn't a normal thing for us here in East Texas. It's not very often we get, well, this isn't actually snow. I think this is more like ice or sleet. But We're sitting out here at 20 degrees, and we're only supposed to get up to 27 today, so we're going to have to do a little more heat here in the greenhouse on some of our other plants, but our figs should be just fine. The greenhouse isn't actually heated, so for those of you that don't have, and this is, you might call it a polytunnel. Make sure we close that door. But it looks like Christmas in here when you come down, because that's what we use for heat. If you've watched in the past, that's the way it looks. And we're not going to take the cover off, but we'll let you see as far as a view through the cover, because this is where our fig trees are, underneath this cover. And they ought to be, I wouldn't say they're toasty, but they should be warm enough that they don't freeze. That's the main concern. Keep them warm enough that they're not going to go dormant. You can't hardly see them, but we have lights strung down on top of our figs, and we've got icicle lights running along the top for more. And let's see what temperature it is in here. Well, ain't that something? 29 degrees. And we're going to be in the teens tonight. We're not going to get out of the freezing for the next couple of days. So, but if I think tomorrow, I think we're going to have sun, and when it gets sun on the greenhouse, it gets good and toasty in here if it's got bright sunlight. But this is where we're sitting right now, best to my knowledge and remembrance. Now with these 29 more, we're up to 130 for those of you that might be interested in how it's going. I appreciate you watching. If you're into this, you want to see more on propagation and how this is coming along, well, of course, hit that subscribe, hit the bell, select all, give her a big thumbs up. Those likes really help my videos. And in the comments, let me know if you're planning to start some or what you think about what's going on here. And of course, as always, happy gardening.